Hi Copic and the Craft Room fans, Michelle Houghton here. I am working with some of the brand new images from Kraftin Kimmie today. This is one of her new sets for March called Party Piggies. There are several cute images obviously, and I had a hard time deciding which one I was going to play with, and I stamped out a couple of them. I will definitely come back and do more of these eventually as time allows, haha. And finding time is always an issue, but might have time here shortly to do some extra coloring, so they will definitely be in reserve. I'm testing out some colors for the pig because I know what I want to do with him. This is something I've done a while back where I colored kind of a pinkish pig with some spots. I just want to make sure I've got some colors that I like the look of, how they're blending together. They're not necessarily, actually they are not a natural blending group. And so I want to make sure they're going to work well together and then add spots to make sure I'm going to get the colors that I want out of that. So I'm testing those out just on a piece of the same white cardstock that I'm going to be using. This happens to be on Hammer Mill, a 60-pound cardstock. I also want to make sure that when I do the chocolate cupcake that the browns are a little bit different, so you can tell the difference between the spots on the pig versus the chocolate on his face, that he is indulging in that chocolate icing. So I'm just testing that out as well. And this is how I do this. I mean, you're seeing the process in real time. I literally just test some things out. I use the same cardstock that I'm going to be coloring on, just kind of in a corner somewhere, just to make sure that I get the look I want out of the colors that I think I can use. If it doesn't turn out the first time, I just try again. That's obviously one that I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted, so it didn't take several rounds. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark off the spot areas, and I'm using my lighter earth tone to do that. I could work on top of those pink tones, but I'm going to go ahead and do the browns first. So I've got an E33 and E35 that are going to take care of those spots. So the next series is going to be for the pink, and I'm actually using two earth tones and then a red. I've got an E000 that you're going to see me base the entire pig with. Then I'm going to use an E01, and I'm going to use some touches of R21 to kind of round that out and pinken up some of the areas specifically. But I'm keeping this pretty close to real time. It's not sped up a whole lot, a little bit to make sure we get through this video in a reasonable amount of time, but I'll just kind of let you guys watch for a minute and I will be back. Got a few small touches of gray on the feet and hands. I've got a C5 and a C7. They're going to come in and darken those up. I appreciate that Pig's little hooves are probably not that color, but he's a pretty cute little pig eating a cupcake, so I think this will work for that. So before I work on the cupcake, I wanted to pinken up the nose. I've got the R21 and the tongue as well. I'm adding a little bit of E04 into that area to darken up both the nose and the tongue, just to deepen that. And then I'm going through and hitting the chocolate areas with a series of E2s. So you're going to see an E23, E25, and E27 on each of these. One of the stamps in the party set is also some little hats. So I'm going to come over and color one of those hats, similar colors to what's going to be on the wrapper of the cupcake. So I've got a YG01 and then a YG03 that I'm adding some details. Because that foil is so tightly pleated, I'm not going to try to go in. I'm just adding a little bit of darkening here and there. I'm not going to try to go in. You could shade this more in that cylinder shape where you're coming in from the sides. The pleating is so small, I need something more like a colored pencil to add true tiny, tiny details. So I'm coming in from the side a little bit, hitting some of those lines with that darker color. The hat, on the other hand, is a distinct cone shape, and so I am shading it accordingly, or adding some of that darkness accordingly. I'm using a BG000 and a B00 on the hat as well for those stripes. And I'm leaving this separate, and so when I add that onto the card, it's actually going to be in a separate spot, and that's why I didn't try to do any masking and put it right on his head. Coming back in with a little bit of BV20 for some deeper cast shadows on the pig and under kind of his arms and the cupcake, just to add a little more depth to that image. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and color in a background, and this will be sped up as well, but I'm using a G40, a G43, and G46 to do a really easy grass-like hill. You guys have definitely seen me do this before if you've watched a few of the videos. So starting with the G40, just a really loose kind of up-down motion and horizontal lines across the image. I'll add that G43 and G46 in similar ways. The G46 in particular will come in under with a cast shadow under the pig. For the sky, I'm going with a B41. This is just a nice sky blue color. I oftentimes will use that BG000, but I thought I'm doing something a little different today just to brighten it up just a touch. And not so much bright, just changes that tone a little bit. Small circles going over areas at least 2 to 3 times, if not more. Remember, if your sky is not turning out smooth, you probably just need more ink on the page. You just need to hit it again. So, and in this case, I'm having to hit it more times than that. This marker was actually running a little low. And you can see that as I do that first or second layer, I'm still not coating very well. So I just really needed to refill that marker. Thanks as always for stopping by today. I am going to put this little guy on a card, and make sure you stop by the Kraftin Kimmie shop for all of her new offerings for this March. I know a lot of us have a little extra time to do some coloring as things are shutting down around us, but remember, this is one way to have a happy, colorful day. Hang in there, everybody, and I'll see you next week.